another video and another transfer rumour. What do you know? So we've got a lot of things that we're going to have to cover off between now and the beginning of next season, and we've only just got started. But this is, again, a transfer story about a player that probably a lot of people have a lot of time for, but then also we, in the position we're in, we probably can't afford to turn offers away that are suitable for players. So let's talk about this one. Now, this particular player very recently was a Hammer of the Year, so has a bit of a pedigree to him. But last year, I don't really think that we saw the player that we saw that picked up that particular accolade. And who am I talking about? It's Aaron Wan Bissaka, the right back that we got from Manchester United just 2 years ago. Get your comments in the section below. Have a little check to see if you're subscribed to the channel. And if you're not, please click subscribe, because we've got a lot of people who watch this content who aren't subscribed. So if you could just check that for me, really would appreciate it. And drop a like on this stream and give us a hype if you have one available. It all helps to bump this particular content out to people that otherwise might not get. So we appreciate your help there. So let's talk about Aaron Wan Bissaka. Now, Aaron Wan Bissaka, he played for England at one point, but he's now an international for the Democratic Republic of Congo, because obviously when he played for England, it wasn't a full competitive match. It was just a friendly. So that gives people the ability to play for one team and then transfer their allegiance to the other, a bit like Declan Rice did when he moved from the Republic of Ireland to England all those years ago. Anyway, so he was at Manchester United previously to us purchasing him. His career was stagnating and all the rest of it. Now, around this time, this was about the time that Julian Lopetegui came into the club. Tim Steidten was doing a lot of business, and it was in that transfer window where we did an awful lot of business. I think we'd signed 10 players there or thereabouts, and one of the players was Aaron Wan Bissaka. Now, if I remember rightly, and I'm doing this completely off the top of my head, I haven't got any notes, but I believe it was sort of like in the 25 to 30 million pound bracket. So we paid an awful lot of money for this guy for a right back, which, okay, is, for a club of our stature, that's quite an outlay on a fullback, I would suggest. But anyway, he came in with a big reputation. He was probably more viewed as a defensive right fullback as opposed to an offensive right fullback. Now, personally, call me a little bit old school, but I actually quite like my defenders to be able to defend as their primary resource, as opposed to sort of let's just bomb forwards and I'll worry about defending later, and maybe someone else can give me a helping hand. And oh dear, there's another left winger that's gone past and put a cross in for the forward, and they've just scored another goal. Oh dearie me. So came in, he was very viewed as a defensive right fullback, bit old school. One-on-one defending was superb. Now, I think for me, in that first season, I think he did very well. Now, whether he deserved the accolade of Hammer of the Year is entirely up for your own particular point of view. Personally, I think that he was a very strong player. Whether he deserved that accolade, I'm not quite so sure. But having said that, I can understand it wasn't an award that I looked at and thought I couldn't make sense of how it happened. And he came into this season, obviously, with that particular accolade tucked up in his back pocket, and we was hoping to see a particularly strong season from him. Now, we also went and signed in this summer transfer window of the season that's just concluded. We went and signed another right fullback. This time it was a free transfer in Kyle Walker-Peters from Southampton, who'd just been relegated down to the Championship. Now, as it turned out, the player that I thought was the better defensive right fullback this season didn't have too good a season compared to Kyle Walker-Peters. Now, I was actually more impressed with Kyle Walker-Peters, who I think that out of the two of them, I viewed as the more offensive and the less defensive of the two options. But that being said, what I watched up close and personal for Kyle Walker-Peters, I was thoroughly impressed by. Now, I got to be honest, Aaron Wan Bissaka's output, on the other hand, I was less than impressed by. And bearing in mind he was the Hammer of the Year, I think this was something that was an even bigger disappointment, because when you stop and think about the people that have had that particular award bestowed upon them down the years, the likes of Billy Bonds, the likes of Trevor Brooking, the likes of Declan Rice, all these players that have come in, Scott Parker is another one that's just sort of 3 times in succession. They won that particular award, and they represented the club with a great deal of pride and passion, and all of the other attributes that you want to see in players that pull on your shirt, your colours. Now, Aaron Wan Bissaka last season for me, I thought for quite a lot of it, his output dropped quite dramatically from the previous season. Now, I don't really know what the reason was behind that, whether it was fallouts with the manager, whether it was fitness, whether it was attitude, I don't know what it was. But there was numerous times that I watched Aaron Wan Bissaka, and his intensity, his closing down, and just the basics really, that I looked and I was like really sort of scratching my head and saying, well, this isn't the player that I saw last season. This isn't the player that picked up the award that the fans gave in the Hammer of the Year. I don't understand what's happening here. So for me, I think there must have been something that went on behind the scenes. I don't know whether it was the situation we was in, that he felt a little bit disappointed by that, and that maybe he just didn't show his best under pressure. I don't know. But then you think about that, he was playing at Man United before. I mean, if you're talking about playing under pressure, there is no really in English and world football, there's no bigger pressure to play than under the spotlight at Old Trafford, is there? Anyway, so I was very disappointed by Aaron Wan Bissaka last season. Now, obviously, the relegation, the vultures will be circling, and they'll be circling until the transfer window closes over some of our better players. Now, whether I think that he had a good season last season or not is another matter. But the fact of the matter is that there will be Premier League clubs that will be looking to strike and see if they can get themselves a bargain. They know we're in the Championship. They know that our finances are a little bit questionable at best, and that if they've got a particular weakness at right fullback, they may well be looking at Aaron Wan Bissaka as an upgrade on their current incumbent. Now, the story broke the other day, and Gio reported it on Hammers Chat, that Everton were in the mix and looking to get Aaron Wan Bissaka possibly as a player that they get in through the door ahead of the upcoming season. Now, it has to be said, they've got an obvious deficiency at right fullback, and do I believe that Aaron Wan Bissaka would be an upgrade on what they currently have to offer? I think the answer to that is a very clear and resounding yes. But of course, my concern is always, as far as West Ham's concerned, looking for a player needs to be moved on, either because it's just run their course, they've got a little bit of a disagreement that's happened that's causing them to want to move out of town, or whether we just need to move players on for financial constraints. Whatever the reason is, if the name of the game is to try and get the maximum money out of that particular transfer from our point of view. And when there's only one club in the mix, which at the time Everton was the only show in town, then from our point of view, it's not particularly great. However, since then, there's been a couple of other teams that have been looking and wondering whether this particular player might be someone that could add a little bit of extra to their squad in the upcoming season. And interestingly enough, they're two particularly local rivals to each other, and that is Sunderland and Newcastle United. Both of these teams are looking at Aaron Wan Bissaka as an upgrade on their current right fullback. Now, the asking, or the purported price that is looking to be attached to Aaron Wan Bissaka in all of these articles is said to be around 10 million. Now, as I've always said, is that the more teams you've got involved in a bit of a battle for the services of a player, the better it is for the team that's selling, because you've then got the ability to play one off against the other and make the best price available to you. He's 28 years of age, as I say. He's got experience in the Premier League for many years. He's played in the Goldfish Bowl at Old Trafford for Manchester United, where the pressure is very intense. He's played in FA Cup finals. He's played in big pressure games for the biggest club in England, Manchester United, and he's played for West Ham and pulled off the Hammer of the Year award. And he's still got his best to come, as far as a defender's concerned. 28 years of age, he's still got some peak years left to offer, and we need to try and sort of use that to our advantage. He's also going to be playing in the World Cup in the United States, Canada, and Mexico this year. So again, he's an international. He's got that pedigree behind him. I mean, if he wants to go, I've got no problem. Let him go. I think Kyle Walker-Peters did a very admirable job last season. I think that he will be our right fullback next season. He will very likely have an adequate backup coming in. Either we purchase another player in from elsewhere to give Walker-Peters that backup, or maybe we'll get a player filling in from the youth team, which again wouldn't be a bad thing for me. So Aaron Wan Bissaka, look, I know that it's a big drop from what we paid for him 2 short seasons ago. But look, quite frankly, the player that I saw last season, I do have to question his desire and his willingness to sort of put his shoulder to the wheel when the brown stuff's hitting the fan. So I'm not too sure. Is he someone that I want around in the Championship? I'm not entirely convinced. £10 million, try and see if you can get that jacked up to nearer to £12 million, whatever, £15 million. Just sort of try and get Everton, Newcastle, Sunderland in a bit of a bidding war with one another. As I say, wouldn't be sad to see him go. Not this version of Aaron Wan Bissaka. If it was the version that carried off the Hammer of the Year award, I'd probably be a little bit more annoyed. But as far as this particular season's vintage is concerned, very much, I'm not particularly bothered. But what say you? You've got a comment section below. Aaron Wan Bissaka looks like he could be on the radar of Everton, Sunderland, and Newcastle United to be their right fullback for the upcoming Premier League season in 2026-27 season. Comment sections below. Don't forget to check if you're subscribed. If you're not, please click the subscribe button. Drop a like on this particular stream. Give us a hype if you've got one available, and we'll see you again soon. Come on, you Irons.